I've been on a low, I've been taking my time. I feel like I'm out of my mind.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Project Mayday. These are your hosts G and Bree, and today we have Tracey Noriega. If you remember, we were actually on her podcast a couple of weeks or a month ago or so, and now we want to pay it forward, like how her podcast is. So Tracey is a dear friend of ours, and she is actually just recently retired from the radiology field, and she has a method here that she wants to talk about, and it's going to be how to de-stress. And we've actually had extensive conversation about it, and I think it would be a very, very good idea to get this out to the public.
That's
so
right.
Tracey, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you guys. It's a pleasure. It's kind of weird to be on the other side, but I'm used to asking the questions, but I'll take your lead. Yeah, so thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's just start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Tracey.
Oh, well, let's see. I mean, we got here because of the connection being about the healthcare field, and it would be a long circuitous way I got into it. I actually wanted to be a nurse when I was younger because my mom wanted to be a nurse, and I used to candy stripe at the local hospital at Good Samaritan in San Jose. And it didn't take too long for me to figure out that the nurses did pretty much everything. And I saw yelled at by the doctors, and just saw the whole, kind of hierarchy thing. And I just, I had a couple of things that happened, and I was just like, I don't think it's for me, but I always loved it. Would watch Emergency One and MASH and all those, hospital shows and Quincy and stuff. And it wouldn't be till after 9/11 kind of hit a glass ceiling, and I started going back to see what can I do to serve? How else can I show up? And the career counselor basically opened the door to radiology because I love the human body and anatomy, and would play around with photography, but wouldn't call myself that. And she just said, hey, here's a field. And it attracted me because I could take it portable anywhere, do it anywhere. There's always a hospital, and, different hours, different shifts. And I just thought, okay, I'll do it. But it was a big sacrifice. At the time I was 35, and it was like, what? Go back to school? Didn't really want to do that. But I went and I volunteered over at Alta Base to make sure it was something I wanted to do, because it was going to be a 2-year program. And I saw it and what it would open the door to, so I went for it and went to Kaiser Allied School of Health, and would do my clinicals at Oakland Kaiser and San Francisco Kaiser. And when I was in San Francisco is when I got my eyes open to interventional radiology, which is like a modality, a specialty. And I was just in awe of watching a AAA, which is, abdominal aortic stent, like when they have an aneurysm and it just busts, and you put a stent in there to basically, put the wall of, your abdominal aorta inside there so somebody doesn't rupture and bleed out. And I was in trance. I was just like, oh, I want to do this, because you get to scrub in, and you get to be there handing all this stuff, and just right there, instead of, I was there as the x-ray tech, bringing the, x-ray arm in and out. And I was like, yeah, I want to do this.
So how long were you in the field?
Altogether, I started x-ray. I graduated 2007. I would get cross-trained in IR in 2008. And I got cross-trained because nobody else volunteered, so I got it by default. And I got cross-trained and used all the time. And then by 2009, I did that and sat for the test. And so I've just been doing that since basically my last contract. The last time I worked was just this past June. So it's 15 solid years of x-ray.
Wow. We brought you on because we want to talk about your ARC method. And when Bree was after she had the conversation with you, she was telling me about it, and she was super excited. And so I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's bring her on and let's talk about this. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny, ARC method. I had to come up with something. I was challenged by my entrepreneur coach that you have to have a framework. And it's like what I basically used the whole time I was working in healthcare. And then I would come around to reuse again, becoming a parent overnight. And and it was basically all the stuff I learned from my self-discovery, from my self-growth, from going back to heal traumas that I knew I had. I was molested, by my father early on. There was a lot of, physical and alcohol abuse and drug abuse, and both sides, three sides of my family, even the step side. And so there was all these things, and I just really knew from the beginning I didn't want to repeat family karma. And so I would go to these classes, and even in college, make sure I took the sexuality class and this and that. And so there'd be all these things, and I'd reach into all of this stuff and would kind of mishmash them all together. And it wouldn't be till 2009 I kind of got into spirituality by going to the Amazon and then kind of getting brought into just universal laws and such, and then start to learn those and the meditation practice and breathing practice.
Amazon meaning Brazil.
The Amazon, not the Prime. The Peruvian Amazon, yeah. I got called. It just was like one of those things. It's like, why do I keep hearing ayahuasca? I've never heard that word before, and all of a sudden, it's like constant ayahuasca. So I would go, and that totally made a shift within me to look more into that. I guess the connecting side, I was always thinking, you're the lone wolf, and a lot of you guys will understand that. I think too, you go into the field of all of that, especially ER people and first responders. If you already have a traumatic background, you're used to that kind of adrenaline and waiting for the other shoe to drop. I feel, having now been in it and seen all the people I would. And the ones that are really good at it are usually the ones who have a lot of trauma in their background, and they've come up with these coping skills. I can't say all of them are positive, but, we've all made our coping skills around the things that we've been either modeled or just around, or, well, that seems to work for them, I'm going to use it kind of thing. And so that's where the ARC method came from, was that all of a sudden when I decided I wanted to make the shift and how can I help people, looking at what was going on, seeing what was going on in the hospital when I was working there, and people coming to me and going, Tracey, why aren't you freaking out? About what's going on. And I'm like, dude, because we can only control what we can control, which is a big thing, because we're, and you guys too, we're all put in these positions where we're supposed to control the outcome. We're supposed to control that person and control like their heart rate and whether they're bleeding out or not. And it's like, in essence, you have no control over any of those things. The only control you really have is to decide about how you're going to respond, how you're going to act, and not react, how you're going to work with the people around you and what you have, because that's all you got. And it's just like, and you got to make it work,
So Tracey, what does ARC stand for?
Oh, it is awareness, responsibility, and choice. And throughout that is always using the conscious breath. Because as we know, we get riled up. You can feel the heart beating going, the thumping, and so the conscious breath is what gets you to calm down. So perfect for first responders, anybody in those, emergency type things, is you have to breathe. And I didn't know for the longest time I would be holding my breath, thinking that's how I was staying control and not exploding, was holding my breath, which is like the worst possible thing you can do for yourself. Builds inner and external pressure. And so it's like, just learning just that breath, getting you to a present moment, calming you down, that you can kind of see the situation and respond accurately. So awareness is about bringing that awareness. We are not even aware that we react like that. We're not even aware of the thoughts that we have, that we're saying this about that person, and already we painted the picture that this is a shit show. There's no way we're going to get through this, right? Well, if you keep saying that to yourself, it'll be true. It'll be a shit show for sure, So it's like, what am I telling myself? That awareness and the responsibility, taking the responsibility. Hey, nothing's happened yet. You're making it. It's your ability to respond to the situation. Like, own what you're bringing to this. So what kind of energy are you bringing? Are you bringing solutions, or are you bringing bitching, complaining, and, faulting, So it's like, you have to take responsibility for that too. And in that is knowing what you can control and what you can't. And then that brings you to C, is making a choice, what choice am I going to, who do I want to be? How do I want to be perceived? What would I like the outcome to be? So if I want that, then how do I have to be? I got to make a choice in alignment with that, not sitting, well, until that person does that, I'm not moving, or I'm not doing this, and in those teamwork situations, you have to make stuff work. And even there may be a difference of opinion of the approach or what should happen next. And you just have to, communicate. So yeah, it's all of those things. And it's this constant, like, going through it all the time and breathing all the time and kind of working it over and over and over.
So what I hear too, if a first responder was going to a call, they could use this ARC method and also the deep breathing. So as they are responding to a call, especially a lot of the calls we've talked about that are very traumatizing would be pediatric calls for first responders. So the 1A, okay, awareness, be aware of maybe your mental inner dialogue. What are you saying even before you get there is kind of what you're addressing. And then you said the responsibility, take responsibility. So would that be more like be aware of your training, take responsibility on how you are going to show up to the call, and then the choice. So I think what really traumatizes a situation is when a first responder feels overwhelmed. If they feel overwhelmed in the situation. But with this ARC method, and the choice is you're making the choice to use your training, just like you said, with the tools that you have. So working within your teamwork and understanding if you're putting it out there that, like you said, it could be a totally chaotic situation and you're mentally already there. And this is also part of burnout, right? If you're burnt out and before those tones even go off, you're on edge, how are you showing up to that call? And that's only going to increase the type of trauma that you're internalizing, because that's when we're going to see mistakes, burnout, not working as a team, conflict. And using the ARC method in a way allows you to reset. So I'm assuming the responsibility one and the ARC method, that's an accurate description of kind of what you're saying.
I'd even go a little bit further with the responsibility piece, and especially in a first responder situation. So, first, I also use it as the responsibility as the ability to respond. So, and what are we all doing all the time? We're responding to like a situation, right? So it's not reacting. That's not going to help you get, what you need done. You have to be able to respond. So it's like if you said that going to the call, it's like, okay, what are my responsibilities? Because then that's another thing too, especially when you're in mixed modalities and people coming together. It's like, what is my responsibility in that sense? What am I responsible for? Instead of like starting to tell somebody else what they need to be doing, right? Trying to control the other situations. It's like, do what you need to do. Go through that positive, like it's this, it's that, I'm going to get these things going and then this is going to happen kind of thing. But I think too, is like the responsibility is to see, like you said, when you start to get agitated, you get to the scene and stuff's going on and this person, they haven't hung, a bag of fluids or whatnot. They haven't even started an IV and you're like, really? And it's like looking at your response, being aware of that, to take that breath and go, okay, yeah, I'm pissed. Okay. But then it's like, God, really? How long have they been doing this? Like, it's like, don't go there. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. So you have the choice to either keep going down that or go, okay, I see it. I acknowledge it. It's not that I'm trying to stuff it down. I'm not trying to give a nice story about it or give them an excuse. It's just like, it is what it is.
I love that you established kind of a framework that we should all be doing. There was a time I was an EMT, I was working with this paramedic, and as we're driving, we're returning from a call, we see this car accident happen right in front of us. And this huge utility truck hits this, small sedan, and it comes up and it flips in the air. And I'm thinking, this is like, an action film. This is crazy. So this is going on, and then the cars, go off. So of course we're going to put on our lights. And I remember I was jacked up, right? Because we only get called after. We don't see this happening. And I'm like, okay, all right, what do we do? And I remember my paramedic saying to me, stop. You need to breathe. This is not our emergency. We did see it. You need to stop. and this is what you need to do. And I remember if I didn't reset, how I would have presented myself in that situation. It ended up being a fatality. So it was a real, it was obviously a significant mechanism, but I remember using, and it's kind of like this arc, be aware, even though you just saw something horrendous or something that would jack you up, be aware, take responsibility for the choices that you're going to be making, your role. I think that's really important, because if you have clearly defined roles, which there's a lot of muddied lines sometimes, then it does help work as a team. Mm-hmm. So, and then the choice would be, work within your protocols, have that positive attitude. So I really enjoy this ARC method and your deep breathing exercises. For your deep breathing exercises, do you just want to touch lightly on like what that looks like?
Yeah, I mean, it really could be something as simple as, and I love Nick's Thich Nhat Hanh, sorry. He's a Vietnamese monk, and he's the one who I related to the most and got me there, because he simply said it's just following the breath through your nose and out your mouth. And that's it. And just like even saying to yourself, breathing in, I'm breathing in, breathing out, I'm breathing out. Like just starting from there. So it doesn't have to be woo-woo. It doesn't have to be this whole thing. It's just literally putting your attention on that breath coming in, breath going out, and just feeling it. And doing the belly breaths are the biggest ones, of really filling up your belly. So many people think we're supposed to breathe from our chest, and you fill up in your stomach, and that's your core. That's where all your power is anyway. So, and that's where fear is. So a lot of times when people are scared, it goes straight to their stomach. So by just filling in and oxygenating yourself that way, it's just, and, just doing that and going and telling yourself, okay, I know what to do here. I mean, I know what to do, it's like reminding yourself that. But yeah, just that's the simplest breath. And it can happen at any time you get, I do it, you get to the yellow light, you're coming up on it and you're like, I can make this, and it's already orange, so, I should stop. And sometimes you get pissed. You feel yourself kind of going, dang, and it's like, why? Okay, you just did that to yourself. That's about the choice too. We don't realize we're making choices to rile ourselves up. So I'm like, okay, well, obviously I just breathe for the red light. It's just like, look at the red light, breathe the red light.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can attest to, well, I didn't know the ARC method at the time, but with my first pediatric code, it was that belly stiffening, just, oh my God, I'm going to, SHIT myself. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I'm thinking this is going to be a shit show. It's going to be a shit show. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely going to be it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my, just amping yourself up. And then when I got there, I was no good, because I had brought myself up to here, and I can't help that little baby now. And so, going to my fourth one, fifth one, sixth pediatric code, by the, my last one, I was very calm. Mm-hmm. And I was a better presence, because I didn't rile myself up to here. And so I was able to perform better. Yeah, the outcome was still the same. However, everybody around me felt a lot more comfortable with me taking the lead, rather than the first time when I showed up, definitely not wanting me to lead, So definitely there's something, and I didn't know about it. Was called ARC, but I was doing it, and I didn't know. So definitely.
Well, and I think that's the big thing too. You hit on something, is that it was still that same outcome, but you didn't rile yourself up. You didn't rile your coworkers up. Like you still got, and that's where, for me, the awareness, responsibility, and choices. It's like being aware of like how your energy affects everybody else. Mm-hmm. What you give is what you get, and everybody has a presence. Everybody feels other people when they come through the room. It could like either go up or come down. We all know that. So it's like, what do you want to be? Like, make that choice and be responsible for the energy you're bringing. And in those cases too, I would say one of the things I've learned that people have a hard time doing, especially if you're in the field of giving and caring and, all this stuff, is asking for help. And we don't know how to ask for help. And I think that's another thing we have to be aware of, take responsibility for, and make a new choice by saying, guess what? You know what? How can I help here? I mean, it's as easy as that. Who doesn't want to hear somebody say, how can I help here? Instead of, I don't know what to do, what do you want me to do? It's just like, it's always, the language too. It's like, how can I help here? How can I help you? What can I do? What do you need? And then you're being of service, because we're all in the service field. And it's like, if you can come from that place instead of, this other, as you were saying, you're you're in your head and going, oh my God, I have absolutely no idea what to do. And you're staying in that place, then everything goes downhill.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
And just briefly, I want to touch on, you actually are coming out a different way of helping as well with children. You have something cool, a little project that you're working on. Briefly, please talk about it. I know you want to keep it a little secret, but if you could touch on it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of not a secret anymore. I actually went ahead and said something on my Facebook and put a picture out there of an illustration, and I was surprised at the feedback. But yeah, the ARC method, as I said, I've used it for myself, through all of this and my own self-development. And then I would become this overnight parent by getting together with my partner Ruben, and he had taken on custody of his nephew. So I found myself having to do this he at the time was 8 years old, having lots of abandonment and neglect and lots of other, trauma issues, and saw all this stuff. And he's been one of my greatest teachers, I guess you would say, in, showing me where I could grow and expand and where I still get triggered and whatnot. And so it was for me to do it again, not having a name for it, but it was like, what do I need to do? I need to be aware, how I'm being with this kid and my tone of voice, and, what am I thinking? Like right now, I'm just, the thoughts in my head, and, sometimes they weren't nice. I mean, honestly, it was like, I was like, oh my God, this is how parents become, abuse their kids, It's like, I was like, oh, and I would give myself a timeout, because I was like, oh my God, I can't believe what I want to say to him. And I at least had enough of the consciousness to say, you need to go to your room. You're unsafe. Yeah. I'm like, you are not safe. And he's like looking at me. And I would put myself in timeout and sit here if I'm actually in front of my altar and just sometimes cry and go, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I want to kill this kid. I want to throw him down the stairs. I'm like, do I have to call the police on myself? Serious. No, I was like, I was scared to let myself out a couple of times. I would call Ruben. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not fit, babe. I'm not fit. This is why I didn't want to be a mom. So yeah, I would try to teach him all these things, and I'd use a stuffed animal named Bananas. He was a monkey, and so we used the thing about a monkey mind and whatnot. And so through using the things I had learned, I was teaching him with the stuffed animal, making it like a third party stuff. And of course we were going to therapy and coaching behavior stuff and all this stuff where I would be reintroduced to a lot of things I had done for myself, but in a different way, cognitive behavioral therapy and all this other acronyms I can't think of right now. And I would just try to, I don't want to say dummy it down, get it into a way a kid can relate to it and make stories. Stories are how we always relate. And so, yeah, all these things came out. And so while I was sheltered in place during that last contract in California, I was being told, it was just kind of like, are you going to do this or what? Because I had been told a couple of times, you should make it a book. And, seeing what was going on with parents and kids with online, and having to be in the house and parents not knowing how to deal. I just saw everything that I was going through, all over the place, and thought, well, why not? Even if it's something that can be discussed, and the first book is about the conscious breath, that everyone can learn how to take a deep breath,
that's awesome,
feel the flow, and let it go, and if, we all can help each other, remind each other, even, out on the field, in your homes, wherever you can find yourself, in a way that isn't disparaging or talking down to someone, or can't you just freaking breathe, take a deep but it's like, it comes from a different place, and it comes from, after you read the story, it's like, okay, and you're reminded, I don't want to be that monkey holding on to the banana, believing I'm caught in a trap. Then I hold the key. Absolutely. And the key is that conscious breath. The
that's
awareness,
beautiful. That's awesome.
And the choice.
Absolutely. So Tracey, are you ready? This is
this is that rapid fire thing.
Yeah. So we are in rapid fire. So Bree Bree has 5 questions that are pretty interesting. and I think you'll come up with something. I think you'll come up with something. Go ahead. All right. So the rules. I'm sure you know the rules, but the rules are you have to respond in one phrase or one word. All right.
Okay. So first question: what is your best feature?
I'd say my skin tone. Everyone knows, yeah. The color of my skin. Everyone thinks I'm always tanning.
You have a glow. Number 2, what do you miss the most about California?
The ocean.
She's like, nothing. All right. Number 3, what motivates you?
What's the end? I guess what motivates me. I'm like, I guess if I had to think of all the things it could be, it's fun and adventure.
That's beautiful.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, what celebrity annoys you the most?
Oh my God! That woman Wendy. I don't even know. Is it? I would see it at Stanford. Wendy, I don't even know the name of her show. She's this woman does a daytime. Yeah. I don't know the name of the show, but I know that. And if that's my number 1, number 2 would be The Talk or whatever, where they all talk over each other. I just go.
All right. And the last question: what is one word to describe your mental wellness?
I guess it would be self-awareness. Self-awareness.
That's good.
That's beautiful. All right, Tracey, that kind of wraps it up. Thank you so much for joining us. And your authenticity and energy is absolutely infectious. And we'd love to have you on again.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for even having me here to talk about, this transition. And I look forward to being back and providing more value for you, and vice versa. When you guys get to your next stage too, come on back to the piece and we can bring you all back as well. Okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for what you all do.
Absolutely. All right, guys, this is Project Mayday. Call out.
Call out.
I finally